Let's see. Hello everybody, I do believe we're streaming now. Just got to check, make sure. Because these things can be a bit delayed sometimes. It'll say, it's streaming, but then you don't actually see anything being streamed. And this should be public. And now I have lost my control panel. Doing Brady. Oops, wrong button. Because this was unscheduled, so bear with me. There we go, home button, because I'm stuck on my schedule calendar. We're getting there. We're getting there. Okay. Editor. That's what we want. Here we are. Okay. Sorry. I'll get going and up and running straight away one of these days. So, yeah. Okie dokie. Let me just get this going so I can see chat if anybody jumps on. So, yeah. If thumbnail and title hasn't given away, today I ordered, today arrived this, the Comgrow filament dry. Bit of magic there. But yeah, what it is just basically a filament dry. It can hold spools of filaments for a 3D printer, because as I've been talking about recently, that, yeah, I've been getting into 3D printing. And so what is this? Well, a filament dryer. It is quite literally designed to dry your filament out, because, just bear with me a second here. Got one here behind me. Here's the mess, I'm getting organised. But so, yeah, you have a spool of filament, you feed it into your printer and melts it down and turns it into a print. The thing is, the plastics in these are actually porous, even though they're really smooth. Well, this one's actually got a bit of a texture to it, a bit grippy, I think, so it goes through the extruder better. But yeah, even though they are plastic, most people think of plastic as being water resistant. These actually absorb moisture. Humidity is a bit of a bitch, especially if you live somewhere like that's tropical, as I do. Then it can be a bit of a problem because the filament draws in moisture, and that moisture, sits inside of it. And then when you go to print, as it goes through your hot end on your printer and heats up, well, 200 degree nozzle and water, and you're basically boiling water in your print, and you can get bubbles, and they can pop and can cause inconsistencies in the filament coming out, and you can get screwed up layers and things like that. So the way to do it is you get your filament, you put it in the box, and then you leave it in there for a few hours. You set a temperature like 50 to 60 degrees or more, depending on what the filament type is, because some need to be run at higher temperatures than others. But I'm using, that's all I've ever used is regular dirty old PLA. And so the way I have been doing it is I've actually been getting I'm not going to be able to see right this second. Here we go. I've actually been getting a filament box. You'll have to excuse my lighting today. It's very overcast outside. This is natural sunlight. I've got no electric lights on. The curtains are closed, but they are light curtains. A bit on the transparent side. And yeah, it's really blowing out the lights for some reason. My camera's being very sensitive. I've messed with the settings, but this is as good as it gets. But yeah, anyway, so I took a CC3D filament box. I cut the lid off of it, punctured some holes in there. I also put a bit of tape over this hole they have on the side there. And what I do is I heat up the bed on my printer, put a roll of filament on it, put it down on the bed, whack that on top, and it basically turns, into a convection oven, or it uses convection where the bed's down here getting hot, heat rises as it goes up. Hopefully any moisture in the filament dries out and goes up through the holes I have punctured in the top of that box. I mean, It's a MacGyver method, but it works. I usually will leave it in there from 4 to 6 hours before I start printing with it, when I'm not being lazy, because as we're going to see, it's not always a necessary thing, but but it's a good preventative measure to do to avoid, getting halfway through a print and finding out it's got moisture in it. So you might as well, if you can, dry it out beforehand. I'll give you an example of that, because at the moment I have a print going. Hopefully I've got this set up correctly, but I do have print going. Bear with me while we get this going. Here we go. Maybe a delay because I'm doing this through my phone on Wi-Fi. Okay, so, well, that's really zoomed in. What the hell? Oh, there we go. Okay, so I have this print going at the moment. I'll move the microphone over a bit. I'll try talking at the microphone. I'm using regular Creality brand PLA at 200 degrees nozzle temperature and 60 degrees bed temperature. You may notice as well that it's two different colours. This is probably one of the best prints I've ever been doing, but excuse the mess around here because when we get set up. But that is my spool holder over there, and you can see that the filament comes in on the side. It goes up to that there that I printed and added, over to there, and then down to there. And due to the setup, and it's in a Comgrow enclosure. So that print's coming along. That's like a 18-hour print. That thing, I'm making a desk caddy. What happened there with the filament is, you'll see at the base is black. It was going down almost perfectly. Like I finally got my printer, it seems, running flawlessly. Now that filament, I didn't dry that. It's been sitting out for a while, but it's still printing fairly okay. So I probably wouldn't need to have dried it. Although I know the black stuff I had dried recently, the grey stuff it's been a lot longer. But that is printing fine. But I have had other filaments where I believe, especially my silk ones, they're the ones that give you that metallic shiny effect. Excuse me, the mouth's a bit dry. But the silk filament, actually I've got a cube here. Shiny metal. This is like a shiny metal green, like Master Chief green, surprisingly enough. It's called bronze, I think, like that, even though it's got a green tint to it. But that one there, that brand, that CC3D, I do believe that would benefit from being run through the filament dry. But yeah, the way I do it with the box, it does work. It's a good cheap way to MacGyver it. But I wanted to get this because I can kill two birds with one stone. Because number one, doing the box method that I showed, I can only get one spool of filament in there drying at a time. This one, it's supposedly, and you can probably see by the width of the picture there, as well as in the thumbnail, it holds two spools of filament. So while I have one in there, I can put two in there to dry, and apparently it's also got holes and things on the top that you can feed filament out of. We should, as you saw my filament setup, I've got to print some new ends and things that slide like MacGyver together to get it working, because I added a cooling fan to my enclosure. Where on the side I would normally feed the filament through on the extruder side, but that's where the fan has to go to feed the duct out the window to pump out any heat or fumes from it, because I don't really like poisoning myself. With PLA I'm relatively okay with just the enclosure being enclosed, because that's what enclosures do. Hey, so yeah, two stages. One's to replace the spool holder, because I've tried doing that. I 3D printed my own spool holder. It uses the original Ender 3 Max one. And then I tried these. These sort of work, but they can move around. And the bearing quality is like that one there spins fairly okay. But that one, it doesn't spin at all. Like, you need to get in there with like silicone grease or something. So while these are good in theory, in practice, not so much, but they're pretty cheap. I think it cost me like $6 off Amazon or something like that. But I think if I grease those up though, they would run fine. However, yes, so this acts as a spool holder as well as a filament drive, and I'm hoping it's going to give me a much better feed, excuse me, of my filament, and hopefully improve the quality of my prints. So let's get on to opening this thing up, shall we? And yes, you'll notice I sneaky removed the teeth earlier because my mouth's a bit dry today. Because yeah, I'm drinking coffee too. If I have some mints, I've got some mints here to, that help me keep the teeth in a bit longer. Well, as long as I've got a mint or something like that in my mouth, the teeth are fine. Same with drinking. But when I'm talking, my mouth gets a bit dry. Yeah, I've got to take them out. And then you get to look at, me looking like a Darrow. Okay, so got that open. Yeah, a bit disappointed when companies do this because this is how it arrived. So it's like, lucky I was home to get the package because I hate when I see this because it's literally telling anybody, or everybody, from driver to people walking down the street, what's in your box, because it's literally drawn on the outside. And yeah, I prefer plain packaging for that reason, even Amazon, because yeah, I mean, if people know specifically what's in a box, I think they're going to be more inclined to steal it. Okay, so a bit of foam off the top. You can see that there, first thing. It looks like a manual plastic bag, foam down the sides. Sorry if the audio's all over the place, because yeah, obviously it sounds a bit better if I get up closer like that. Plus I'm also trying to move back, because like I was saying, a bit light. So if I move away from the window a bit more, lighting goes fairly good. But yeah, closer I get, the more washed out things become. Okay. See if we can work this out. Maybe an upside down move. Yeah, that's the way. Oh, there goes the foam. That didn't want to come out. Yeah, just foam. More foam. Packed foam. So fairly well packaged. Like, that is some good foam. I could probably. That's one thing I like about Creality's packaging, actually. Well, in this case, sorry, Comgrow. Comgrow and Creality. Their packaging's fairly good. Everything's always been very secure, and a lot of this foam you could probably reuse it in other projects because it's pretty dense as well as lightweight. But yeah, got to give them props for that because a lot of the Creality and Comgrow stuff is relatively cheap, but the packaging and the build quality is usually pretty good. Okay, so here we go. There she is. Got a display on the front, I believe, for temperature and stuff. Obviously, power button. I'm guessing that's a settings button. It's got slider looking things on it. And an M button. Don't know what that does. Power jack back at the back with a plug for it that you can close it up, I guess, to keep dust out. Yeah, fairly lightweight plastic, but it looks good. Feels good. That is a hair there. I don't know where that came from. Looks like one of Gizmo. No, oh no, there's a very long hair there. I thought it might be one of Gizmo's, but it was actually in the plastic on the box. Excuse me. Sort of semi-gloss finish. It's sort of shiny, but also matte, and you can see it's already picking up my fingerprints. There. So there. Some problem with black items is, yeah, fingerprinting and dust and stuff showing up on them compared to lighter colours. There's a little bit of a defect, like a scratch. You can just catch it in the light there. Get my finger in the right place, but yeah, just there. It looks like a white bit there. So, but that's something minor. It's cosmetic. Alright, and then we've got some sticky sort of Glad wrap stuff on the top. And yeah, you must know before use. That's what that says there. Again, sorry for everything being blown out at the moment. Love this camera, but it's really difficult to get the lighting right on it. Okay, we have there's two latches here on the front that flip up. Lift that up and over. And this is what I mean about being well packaged, because not only the box, there's one. Cut in the corner so you get your finger in there. I sure said. But yeah, so more of that foam, and it is again fairly dense. I think I could make some good use out of that. And then sitting inside is a box inside, more foam. So yeah, I've never had anything turn up broken from Creality or Comgrow. Yeah, so again, yeah, so the stuff is, I can't praise that enough. High scores from them. The funny thing is, like with Comgrow and Creality, obviously two different companies. Although Comgrow sells a lot of Creality products. That's usually when I buy products from Comgrow, they are actually Creality products, like the Capricorn tubing and nozzles and stuff. But everything's usually good, like my Dual Z kit that I upgraded the Ender 3 Max with. The problem I had, or the main problem I've had, is the actual printer itself. Excuse my whistles. Yeah, it worked out of the box, but there's problems like the frames on them from the factory are out of whack, and you've got to print up this plastic shim that you unscrew the screws on one of the side Z supports, move it out a bit, slide the shim in, and then tighten it back up, and then your frame will be square, because the way they're cut on one side, the bottom is narrower than the top. So yeah, your lead screw is sort of goes up like that, or the gantry goes up like that, and it wasn't rolled properly, it was slipping. Sometimes it would grip and the wheels would spin, and other times it was just like it was levitating. So yeah, you'd get a lot of the gantry go up, start, and then sort of, and the same on the way down. It would go ding. But the Dual Z and the shim fix that. Same thing. I think some of the problems I was having with the printing is I also noticed my hot end. I replaced my heat brake with a bimetal one and put a new nozzle in, and I noticed the hot end itself, the entire assembly was that's the heat sink, heat brake, heating block, and nozzle were all off like about a millimetre. So it was actually, instead of it being dead straight to the bed, it was at a slight angle, and I think that's what was also causing me some problems with my prints, because yeah, since I fixed that, re-leveled the bed, that print there, I've seen one or two obvious lines in the layers, but yeah, seriously, so far that looks like one of the best prints I've ever done. Finally, after 2 years, I've got the upgrades, because yeah, honestly, apart from smaller prints, most of my prints have had something go wrong with them, like this one here, where the filament snapped while I was out. And so it printed for another 2 hours, came home, and then the nozzle was like about 2 inches above the print. And I've had a few prints do that when they get any bigger. Yeah, I've even got a Hogwarts here. I don't know how good it looks, probably a bit dusty. One of the first prints I did. But this has some errors on it, and that was, again, because of the gantry not being straight and supported properly. Now, without the shim that I was talking about, it was impossible to straighten that thing out. It was impossible to get a good print, because that gantry, doesn't matter how much time you spent adjusting the eccentric nuts and things like that, it would still have some slop. It'll be fine here, then up here it'll be sloppy, then it'll be fine there, and then sloppy up there. So yeah, that was required. Yeah, same thing. I just pulled it apart, and it's not, I haven't even touched it, but there's a bit of dirt. Don't know if you'll be able to see that, because it's pretty damn shiny, but there's some dirt marks on there, like they're almost like light scratches that are not from me. I haven't touched that part yet. Maybe just dirt. But yeah, overall, it's looking good. Okay. That. Yeah, so this is what I've got to work out, because this too suggests having it on the same side as the extruder. That's just basic quick start guide. That's what that turns out to be. The you must know before use. You must know before use. Inside, we will see there's a small fan, I believe like a 40mm fan up the back here, and you'll see 2 rollers, and that's where your filaments go. So we'll put the filament. And so, yeah, goes in like that. The other one goes side next to it. And this is just basically a heater. It just rolls on its own, pulled by the filament like a spool holder normally does. Except this one, yeah, I can close it up, turn it on, and then, yeah, leave it overnight. How safe, I don't know. Yeah, it seems to be fairly airtight because, yeah, just notice there's a, if you see this light colour, that's actually, looks like a rubber or a silicone seal. So it looks like it'll be fairly airtight, apart from, obviously, okay, yeah, these clips going down, you have to hold them because they are actually slipping down like that, and yeah, so they get stuck, so you gotta hold them up, and then it goes down fairly easy. But yeah, it feels fairly solid. You snap that, now that should be airtight. Same as these plugs here on the tops and the front. They are a rubber or a silicone, and feed your filament through those. Although the way I'm going to be doing it is, I've seen somebody else do this, is you can get Bowden tube couplers and screw them in here, and then have actual Bowden tube coming out. And so I'm going to give that a go, because apparently that works really, really good. Because, yeah, feeding it into an enclosure, my filament comes in through a square hole on the side, has a flap with Velcro, and you know, you can lift it up and feed it through. But also that means that, one, you've got a huge gap, which sort of defeats the purpose of having an enclosure and trying to keep the heat and vapours in. And two, it comes with its own problems with the smooth feeding of filament. So I'm hoping that, yeah, I'm going to be able to run some Bowden tube up and to as much as possible to the extruder. I have a fresh roll here that came with something else. I forget what that came with, but yeah, so I've got a spare set of springs and some couplers and another piece of Bowden tubing there. And yeah, hopefully it should be silky smooth, because while I'm going to make another video about the print that I'm doing at the moment that I showed on the camera, and might talk about the printer overall in a separate, properly recorded and edited video, about, yeah, the printer itself and the setup and stuff like that. But yeah, this should hopefully be an addition. I mean, it can't hurt to have it, except for drive up and power bills. But yeah, it can only improve things by giving, yeah, a better result. And yeah, what we have in the box here is a small, lightweight AU plugged 12-volt adapter. Now, I have seen some people express complaints on these on Amazon, but the overall reviews for this thing have been fairly positive from what I've seen. And it feels lightweight, but it doesn't feel cheap. Yeah. I don't know why people have an issue trusting it now. If it's got really hot or something like that when it's turned on, that might be a concern. But I think I should be fine, especially because I'm also going to say, when you got things like this, like my house is tiled. I have white ceramic tiles on the floor. Put things like power bricks or anything that's charging with a battery, even your phones, put them on a flat surface that's good at dissipating heat or rejecting heat, I guess. Good thermal conductor or thermal resistor. But like, yeah, you don't put these on the arm of a couch or wood or something that can is a good, yeah, well, that's a conductor, I think, is, yeah. Sorry, my brain's a bit fried today. I haven't had much sleep. But you don't want to put this on anything flammable, anything that can do heat. Like, if I stick this on the tiles, it's got two tiny little feet, but they're enough to keep it off the ground, enough for some airflow. So even if this gets hot, the heat will stay in this. It won't transfer to the tiles. However, if you have carpet or something wooden, there is a chance you can transfer the heat to that, and that's how fires start. Because instead of getting air circulated that keeping this cool, the heat builds up in both surfaces until something gets too hot, and bam. So yeah, I'm amazed at how many people I've seen do that, where they've left things that are charging on top of doonas or bean bags, and it's like, hello, what's wrong with you? This is why you don't take your phone to bed with you. You put it on your bedside table. and stuff. I mean, most wooden surfaces like benches or tables, yeah, you're probably fine, but you want to avoid cardboard or, as I said, you know, things like rubber. Like I wouldn't stick it on top of this too, because again, that's flammable material, no doubt. It melts, then it burns, then you've got toxic gases as well with molten plastic or molten rubber. All right. So yeah, I've got to say, this isn't a review. This is an unboxing, so I'm not going to test it up and set it yet. I can't. I'm halfway through a print, as I've shown you. I probably need a grandpa nap, because yeah, I've had like 3 hours sleep last night. Had to get up early. But yeah, I've got to say, for the price, I think it was 60 AUD on Amazon. Let me look that up, because we want to be sure. But as always, my prices are in the old Aussie dollary doos. God, my mouth today. Amazon.com. There we go. .au. Yeah, packaging was fairly okay. There was a bit of a kink in the box, but yeah. Well, $65 now, but I think when I got it, it was like 64. So, but it's one of the cheaper ones too, as well, because the Crealities and some of the, and I think Comgrow's got another one, and a single spool, but it's like $70. This also should be upgradable, I think, like a lot of Comgrow and Creality things, because yeah, some people have said the fan, like I've heard mixed things about the fan, saying that yeah, plugging it in, but at the moment I don't have a spare PowerPoint either until I get that organised. This is, yeah, I wasn't planning on doing this video. It's just this arrived and I was like, well, I've been slack. Let's do a live review. Haven't done one in a while, and I'm going to try and get better, because it's like, yeah, more chance of me actually making a video if I do it right there and then, like I am now, than putting it off and say, oh, I will do it later. But yeah, build quality seems to be good. I'm guessing these are touch buttons. Yeah, they feel like they can sink in a bit when you touch them. Don't feel that endurable, sort of durable. Yeah, because that feels like a thick sort of sticker. I don't know if that's just a sticker bubbling or if it's got like a peel on it, but if it's got a peel on it, I'll leave it. But yeah, I'm guessing they won't take much force to press. So what do they do anyway, does it say? Alright, Alright, so it says press that to turn the power on. Ah, screw it. Let's find a PowerPoint. Okay, let's move the microphone a bit. Hopefully you can still hear me properly. Actually, I can see while I'm at it. Because as always, these things go longer than I plan. And that go longer than I planned. Why? Because I don't plan them. God, can you imagine how dangerous I would be if I could get organised? There we go, power brick that I was looking for. And we'll just get it lit up, because you're not really going to see anything, but we should, yeah, we'll see if we can hear how loud the fan is. You won't hear it through its microphone because it's noise cancelling. So it won't even bother trying. I'll just have to give you a rating out of 10 of how noisy I think it is, I guess. But yeah, so as we're going to do this, let's do it properly. No music. So you have to put up with me singing or making stupid noises. Okay, something I can pull out that's not going to kill anything. Oh, if only this was USB powered, so then I'd be right. So basically, yeah, got a USB power board set up over here. USB power board can actually come out. Whoa. That spark getting plugged in, it didn't even, yeah, it's got a power light on it. It came on and it sparked a bit when I plugged in the plug, but that's probably my power board. Okay, plug it into the back here. What happened? Anything show up? Nope, let's hit the power button. Okay, green light's gone off. Because the plug fell out, so yeah, haven't got a very good connection to this power board here. let's not try to move it around too much. Okay, we got a green light. Very gentle so we don't unplug it. Power button, oh there we go. Power button lit up then for a second. And we now have something on the display. It says 27 degrees, 61%. Okay, don't think anything's going on yet. There we go, 60%. So 27 degrees would be ambient temperature. That's the other thing I love about this, and even my 3D printer, when you, like the hot ends aren't on that, yeah, you basically get a couple of thermometers so you can tell the temperature at any time in the room. Oh, no, it's 28. Okay. So, power on. Number 2, press M to set the temperature. Press up arrow to set between certain things. So, M. So I'm guessing M's meant to be like for mode. Then it says press up arrow. Well, there is no up arrow, so I'm going to guess that's the slider button there. So we can see there. See, it's like volume control sliders. That is not an up arrow. All right. Ah, there we go. Yep. So we press that, and it cycles through. And again, yeah, very light touch on those buttons, which is good because any force I think would wear them out pretty quick. All right, let's put it up to 50 for now. M to set drying time. Oops. Yeah, let's say it's dropped back down to 40. If you don't touch it within like a second, it reverts back to that screen. So M again, and then drying time. So you get to 6 to 12 hours. Yeah, 6 there, 12 hours. So I would probably go with 6 hours for most of my filament. Oops, gone past it again. There we go. And then press M again to enter working mode. And that disappeared again. And now we've got a timer come up there. And down to like percent, I think that's percentage humidity and the temperature. The temperature on the left panel, I think that's humidity level, maybe 57% humidity, which seems to be a bit. I'm not sure. We'll see. I should probably have these open too to let air out. And I do believe I can feel the fan going. Whoops, there's some buttons on the front. Let's make sure we're getting this set up right. Okay, so it's going, but yeah, I can't even hear that fan. I can feel a slight vibration. Oh, yeah. Even with my ear that far into it, now I've got a ceiling fan going above me and the printer in the background, but the printer runs almost silent as well. You can barely hear the fans from that thing. But yeah, fan's running in this, and I cannot hear it from here. And I had my ear here, and I could barely hear it. Now, as you can see, temperature hasn't gone up yet, so I don't know how long it takes to heat up and get there. I'll keep an eye on that. I have a couple of filaments I want to dry out to use later on because I'm going to get started. I'm trying to get going on printing up the parts for my Halo costume. And one of the things there is, yeah, the original plan was for the helmet at least, is I'm trying to customize it because the one I bought is designed for putting magnets in of a certain size. And so it magnetically snaps together. And I want to actually, excuse me, use M2 to M5 range of bolts, hex bolts specifically, that to mold it all together, so it's all nice and sturdy and rigid, and it looks like, yeah, a lot better and professional. Because like, especially because having real bolts looks better than having 3D printed ones on it, that sort of thing. Even though I don't think that helmet actually has any bolts as such, but I think it'll go for the style of suit I'm going for anyway. And it changes a few things too, like how I'm going to mount the visor and stuff in it. So I'm basically going to do a prototype. So I can get a feel of how it's going to look and how, and it's be good to have in my hands because it'll make it easier to imagine, like, okay, this is where I've got to put the visor, trim it down. I'm trying to make some stencils to cut my visor down to shape properly. It'll be like, oh yeah, I can put a fan here. If I'm going to put a fan at the back, this is how I'll do this, because I want to have a fan that blows across the visor to stop it from fogging up. As well as an exhaust fan on the back, because the helmet naturally has vents on the front, and I'm going to use those, put some filters in those as well, so I breathe in through those, draw in air, hopefully filter out any nasties like smoke and dust particles and crap, while the fan at the visor keeps it defogged. It also provides a bit of circulation of air, hopefully, because it will be hot, and exhaust fan too, to hopefully, yeah, draw off some of that heat and help me not sweat as much, because I think that's going to be a big important thing when you know, almost like a completely sealed suit. You don't want it filling up with your own body liquids. So you want to make sure, yeah, ventilation, even though it's meant to be like an airtight, watertight suit, obviously real world application is not that simple. That's why, yeah, I do want to sometime down the track build a suit that has literally liquid cooling in it, using like PC radiators, liquid cooling systems, and I'm thinking, you know, running some tubing like you see in space suits, where it's just, you know, back forth all the way through. And then, yeah, pump some ice water through, and then hopefully get a few hours of feeling nice and cool for temperature control, because, yeah, that's the things I want to experiment with. Can I add like speed controllers for the fans onto, because I'm going to have an Android phone here on the wrist, and the way I'm looking at it is, you know, imagine if you're holding a gun like this, you'd be looking at your forearm there, and so it'd be a good way to see your maps or tactical information. Plus, I also want to have an easy to access control panel. I might even put a flip top lid on it, so, because obviously in the game, the Mark V doesn't have a panel built into the forearm. Even though, yeah, I think it was Halo Reach, they added an accessory on the Mark V-B, or one of them, where, yeah, you get a display panel of some form there that was like about the size of the mobile phone I have that I'm going to use. But anyway, yeah, that's the unboxing for this. I'm going to unplug it for now. The temperature's up to 34 degrees, so it is, and I think, yeah, it's backlit too. I just noticed that. It's actually lit up. So you'll be able to see that in the dark. But yeah, you can see it's getting up to 34 degrees now. So it is heating up, but just slowly. Awesome. Yeah, I wonder how to go up and chuck like a silica bag in there or something like that. Help with that moisture extraction. And take it out every few hours and chuck another one in. Something to think about. But once I've managed to set this up and use it, I might do a further review on it, don't know, about what I think, if I'm noticing any difference in results, or, yeah, or what. Because, I mean, for me as well, it's also a dust cover, because that's where I live. We're alongside a main road. It gets very, very dusty here, and especially being central, in the tropics, quite often you have the windows open. Even like today, a day that's overcast, it's still quite warm, because you saw the ambient temperature on here. You know, we're coming up onto winter, and well into autumn, but it's 27 degrees on a day like today. It's cold and cloudy, and it rained yesterday. So yeah, hopefully this will help keep, yeah, when I store it in there too, when it's dried, the seals and everything should keep the moisture out. So as long as I plan in advance of what I'm printing and what sort of filament I'm using, I should be able to chuck a couple of spools in there and always have a dry roll ready to go. As well as dust-free roll, because, yeah, another reason for the enclosure is a safety thing. That enclosure, it's heat and fireproof. It takes the edge off of any noise, because sometimes the printer does sing a bit. But yeah, more so than a safety functionality, it's I basically bought it to keep the bloody dust off the thing, because you'll see in some of my close-up videos of the print head, you'll see dust when I've had it out of the enclosure for a while. Because while I was working on it, yeah, there were a few months where it's been sitting on that table and got a bit of dust on it. And it's a pain in the ass to get into all those nooks and crannies and clean that all out. Anyway, let's wrap it up there. I got to say, yeah, I'm so far I'm okay with the money. It's still heating. It's up to 37 degrees now. I think it's going to do exactly what I want it to do. And as I said, other reviews I've read on it seem to be okay. Just yeah, almost I think made the mistake because I think you should have these plugs open so you've got some air, that convection helps because it's probably exhausting somewhere at the back here with it because the fan's at the back at the base. I might even be exhausting it out the bottom. Oops, hitting buttons there. And yeah, the base now on my hand is starting to get very hot too. So that's definitely where the heating element is in the bottom. But yeah, I think you just want, if the fan's at the bottom, you're going to want some airflow in there. And obviously if you have those plugs in, it's going to be almost airtight because I can't really see any obvious air vents on it. So I'm going to guess it's part of the cycle of drawing the air through those holes is also where it possibly ejects it. Don't know. Again, something else that I'll look at a bit further later on down the line. Anyway, going to work out what to do with this. I'm going to turn it off because it's getting hot. It's kind of weird. The buttons light up when you touch them. It's the only time they lit up. But yeah, that black panel lighting up, that's a bonus because I thought that was just going to be a straight up, like, basic LCD screen. But having a backlight is not, yeah. Especially because I do a lot of printing in the dark and it's going to be next to the enclosure which has a light built in. Well, it's not built in, I've added a light to it. So it'd be good to be able to see the filament settings when it's next to it and out of its light in the dark. Cool. Okie dokie. Well, that's been the Comgrow dryer. That's quite literally what it's called. Amazon description is Filament Dryer Box, Comgrow 3D Printing Filament Case, 2 spool storage, 1.75mm, 2.85mm PLA, PETG, ABS spool holder, dehydrator. Ain't that a tongueful? I mean, a tongueful. Well, I guess it is a tongueful. A mouthful. And they have a single spool one that looks very similar. It says only one spool, but the picture has 2. But yeah, it's like 3-4 times the price of this one. This one currently is $65.98. Like I said, I got it on sale. Other similar ones I have seen, even single spool ones, are like $70. And yeah, on Comgrow's own site, they've got one here that says only one spool, but it's $185. But it basically shows this in the picture, so I think there's a screw up there. But the price was probably correct. Might be their newer one because I think they've released a newer, more high-tech dryer. But yeah, that also gives some specifications. I'm using 1.75mm PLA, and apparently it can handle larger filaments, which is good too. Because yeah, I know even with this is a Creality spool. I know there's still room in there, which is great because I've noticed that with the CC3D filament, for example, the spools are wider than the Creality ones and some of the other brands. So it's good to know that, yeah, I've got room in there and the bigger spools should fit as well. Because, yeah, for some reason, CC3D just like using wider spools. So that, yeah, nothing to cover. But, yeah, it will fit your standard 1 kilo filament spool. Basically, regardless of size. Because I think, yeah, it should fit most common sizes, bigger and narrower. Alright, well, yeah, let's wrap it up. Okay, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. Hopefully it's been informative or something, and you take something away from it. I will catch you on the next video. I should be running a podcast. Don't know if we'll be doing tonight's one. I haven't caught up with Helix yet to discuss that. We'll see. That'll be on the other channel, Out of Sync, which we're also discussing about renaming, because I already asked some Out of Sync channels out there. But they are SYNC, where we're SYNCH. And you'll see my ugly mug with my glasses on in sort of purpley yellow colours. Purpley blue. Alrighty. Yeah, I'm going to try and get more frequent. As you can see, the second video in at least under 2 months. Going to be doing a lot more 3D printing stuff. Helix recently bought me Helldivers 2. May or may not do something about that. I did a live stream of the tutorial video, so go to the live tab on the home page here to see that. It's just 5 minutes of me sort of warming up. I did stream playing with Helix and Blitzwing, but there was a problem with performance and stuff like that, so I deleted that video. Probably caught me picking my nose during it too. But we'll see what happens as well, because yeah, I'm having mixed feelings about this game. I really, really am. But yeah, we're definitely going to be seeing more and more 3D printing stuff, especially as I get into the Mark V armor project. Once that starts getting underway to the print stage, I might even do some videos where I show what I'm doing modelling wise and how I'm sort of taking the long way around it. There's probably easier ways of doing it, but the software and stuff I'm doing, and probably my age now. If I was 16, this would be a breeze, but it's like, you know, coming up on 50. Still capable of learning, but it's a little bit slower and it feels like a chore. So it's like, stick with what you know. It takes longer, but at least I'm not getting frustrated. All right. Should probably review that tablet as I bought as well, because yeah, I think my review would be a bit different to most people's anyway, because a lot of people just review the drawing aspect of it, and those things can do so much more if you're a little bit creative. So yeah, might do that. Have a think about doing a video for that, and I don't know whether I'll do a live review of that one or if we'll just I'll do a proper one. We'll see. Anyway, enough of me rambling on. Good seeing and speaking to you all. Catch you on the next video. Rabbit out. Bye bye. There we go. We hit end stream and it's going to go, are you sure?